And I'll tell you exactly how to use this gut brain so that you could specific things that you could do so that you could move your business to the next level. So if you want to be successful, be happy first. So in other words, happiness leads to success in business. My head brain and your head brain are connected, whether we talk to each other or not. So let's decide this right now. Is there something called gut brain? And if there is a gut, there's a brain in your gut, like what are we talking about here, right? I'm going to explain that in a second. But by the end of this video, you're going to learn so much about the advancement of neurology in a simple way that you could use to grow your business to the next level. You could decide to work with somebody or not to work with somebody, whether to hire this person or not to hire this person, or should I take investment from this person or not? Should I partner with this person or not? You will have exactly clear idea by the end of this video. You'll also know how to manage your gut in a way that it will help you to be more healthy in terms of your body, so that you could grow your business to next. So let's get started. Yes, there is something called gut brain. So, like according to a Stanford study from more than a decade ago, we know that there are three brains in our body, three prominent brains in our body. Of course, you know there is a head brain and there is a heart brain, which we will talk about another time. And then there is something called the gut brain. This is the brain that is in front of your gut, in front of your stomach. So really, so how do you define brain anyway? We define brain by the cells that they contain. Right. So in other words, we call the head brain and brain because we have a type of cells called neurons. So if we have neurons collectively in one other place, we could call it a brain. Yes. Yeah. So we have 100 million neurons in our gut. One more time, 100 million neurons in our gut. In contrast, that is one by 1,000. So it's 1 by 1,000 of the head brain. So this head brain is gigantic. It's huge. It's big. Imagine it has 1,000. The gut brain has only 1. But that doesn't mean this little tiny guy is not powerful. We'll get into that. And I'll tell you exactly how to use this gut brain so that you could specific things that you could do so that you could move your business to the next level. Isn't that fascinating? Let's get started with that. So before we get into this, you need to know what are we talking about and what is there. And let's talk about what for a second. What do you really need to understand about gut brain? One, there's something called gut brain bacteria. So this tiny gut brain, around the gut brain, in the stomach, you have 100 trillion bacteria. So again, 100 trillion bacteria in your gut. Okay. So if you have 100 trillion bacteria in your gut, what does that mean? Let me translate that into humans. So India or China has around 1.4 billion people. So we have essentially 70,000 times the Indian population in your gut, or around 70,000 times the Chinese population of bacteria in your gut. You see that, right? Okay, good. So these bacteria, some of them are good, some of them are bad. So these bacteria, one, because of our food habits, the Western food or Eastern food, depending upon what type of food you eat, these bacteria, we are losing some of the good bacteria and we are adding some bad bacteria in the process. This is the fundamental cause of a lot of health issues in the world. And I'm not a doctor, but this is something that I experienced over the years. So I'm just sharing with you. So consult with your doctor before you do any kind of medical interventions. But in a simple way, I'll talk about 2 simple things that you could do, and then you could go talk to your doctor on how to do that. But let me move on from this topic really fast. So 2 things you could do. One is that you need to replenish your bacteria. So how do you replenish your bacteria? The good ones is by having prebiotic. Having prebiotic. How does prebiotic help you? These are the food for the good bacteria. For example, a simple thing is like apple. And I know you might be doing keto and stuff like that, but explore what are the food that you could eat that will become food for this good bacteria. So that is what a prebiotic is. It's a food for the good bacteria. The second that you could do is give bacteria itself to the body, like the good bacteria. And how do I do that? I mean, there are simple ways to do it, and I'm going to share one idea with you, which is yogurt. Yogurt has Probiotic. This is why you would see probiotics in so many bottles in so many stores in the world, right? So probiotics is actually giving the bacteria to your body, right? So prebiotic is the food for those bacteria, the good bacteria. Probiotics are bacteria itself, and you could probably take probiotic supplements. And there are so many other ways to do that. You can consult with your medical professional. That is a foundational activity that you could do to handle your gut brain, right? So this way, your gut brain is like really relaxed. It's not straining too much because of all these 100 trillion bacteria messing up around it. So now let's specifically get into the science of the gut. So 100 million neurons, that is not the most important part of this tiny little piece of brain in your gut. Where is happiness in your body? And because I'm sharing this with you right now, you'll be like, where is happiness in your body? Right? Typically, it has to be in your brain, right? I mean, and if you look at the world in the last 50 years, like people who are depressed, what medicine do they take? They're taking medicine to keep serotonin, like people who are depressed. One of the medicine is SSRI, which is essentially what it does is they make sure that the brain doesn't quickly absorb a chemical called serotonin from your brain. So everyone's brain produces what? Serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter. What is a neurotransmitter? Basically, imagine that two people are trying to communicate with each other. Like you might have seen, a person with a cup and a string, and another person with another cup and a string connected to each other, and they talk on this side, the other side they could hear. Like that, every neuron has, from the end of a neuron to end of another neuron, they release a chemical to talk with each other. Okay, they are called neurotransmitters. Serotonin is one of them. So we were trying to handle depression through what? By protecting the serotonin and keeping that in our brain. Okay, good so far? Okay, now, where is the serotonin? Serotonin is the happiness neurotransmitter. Okay, serotonin is one of the happiness neurotransmitter. So we were trying to keep this happiness neurotransmitter in the brain so that depressed people will be like, oh, I feel good, right? That was the idea. But here's the problem. 90% of the serotonin is in your gut. So if we didn't even know that the serotonin was in your gut, 90% of your serotonin is not in your brain and it's in your gut, and we were treating the wrong place for happiness. Does that make sense? Right? So we should have treated the gut instead of the brain. That's an entirely different topic for medical professionals to figure out. But if you pay attention to it, understand that 90% of the serotonin is in your gut. Does that make sense? And if that makes sense, let me tell you the next thing, which is 60% of the dopamine is in your gut. What is dopamine? Dopamine is the little thing like when you go on Facebook or Instagram and you post something and all of a sudden somebody is like, oh, I love this. And they click the love and you feel a sense of excitement, sense of happiness. That is dopamine. Dopamine being released. A little bit of dopamine is released in your body. It's kind of dopamine activation. And then another person put the comment, oh, look so cute. And all of a sudden, you feel good, right? That's dopamine too. So dopamine is another happiness hormone, a happiness neurotransmitter. So again, you know what a neurotransmitter is? It's a little chemical that talks to each other between two cells in your brain. Okay. So 60% of the dopamine is in your gut. So in other words, your happiness is in your stomach. And I'm sure nobody said this before, and I'm sure you might not have heard this. And if you heard this, understand this clearly this time. Your stomach keeps the happiness. And the fascinating thing about this tiny little bugger is, this guy will tell you, the tiny brain in your head, in your gut, it will tell the head brain, I'm not feeling good. Imagine that there's a toddler in a party, like a really tiny toddler, like 2-year-old, and then everybody is like so excited. And the toddler, imagine the toddler is pooping in the middle of the like party space, and he's like party hall. He's like, all of a sudden, everybody's attention goes here, right? The entire party is like, oh, everybody stops. Why? He commands attention. That's the same thing that the gut brain does. What the gut brain does is it will tell the head brain, I'm not feeling good. You are supposed to feel bad now. And the entire freaking head brain will be, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say, boss. Can you imagine that kind of power? This tiny guy, it's as if, like you might have seen in India or Thailand or Malaysia, there are like people who sit on elephant, and this tiny little guy, like this is tiny little 5 feet guy who's small and stuff like that, and he's sitting on elephant and he turn left, and this giant elephant is like turning left. Well, what happened? I mean, he's supposed to be the big guy, right? But the elephant is trained to do that. Same way, the big elephant in your head is controlled by this tiny bugger in your stomach. He's like, I'm not feeling good. This is the guy who controls what you're feeling in your body, what is regulated, what is not regulated. And if you're spending way too much time with your stomach irregulation, with the bacteria and bad bacteria and stuff like that, this guy has to work so hard. He's like, I'm not feeling good. I'm so tired. I'm so fatigued. I cannot handle this. This is why you have stress that is felt in your body. People talk about the butterflies in stomach. The stress, you feel it here in the stomach. And almost nobody clearly understands this. Right? We need to really understand this if you really want to grow your business to the next level. So, and you will be like, okay, how could I use this in my business? Here is one thing that I want to tell you. If you want to succeed in business or life, you need to be happy first. What? I thought I was supposed to be happy when I become successful. No. And then imagine you're becoming successful at 87. Until then, you're going to be frustrated and sad. You know, like, oh, you're going to stick up for your entire 87 years of life, and you become happy when you're 87. That's some BS. Like, don't waste your time. Don't waste your life. It's only one life. You need to be happy from this moment. So if you want to be successful, be happy first. So in other words, happiness leads to success in business. One more time, happiness leads to business success. So frustration, anger, anxiety, depression, they don't lead you to succeed in business, right? And we think that if I'm a little bit more committed, if I'm a little bit more frustrated, if I'm a little bit more doing this, doing this, then I would be successful. No, just be happy. And how do you become happy? By connecting with your gut. Using your gut. And there are so many more things that I could do. I'll tell you a few more things that you could do today. And then there's so much more. If you're more curious about it, put that in the comment. I'll be happy to share more about this fascinating world of gut brain to help you grow your business. So here is another thing that I would like you to understand. Think about the gut feeling. Like, have you noticed, like, especially if you're a woman listening to this, you have gut feeling about people, and probably you have a gut feeling about me. Let me know what that is, okay? Okay, so when you connect with somebody, you have a feeling like, oh, I don't want to deal with this person, right? And some men have this too, right? And I really like this person. There's a vibing. I mean, I'm vibing. Like in California, you'll be like, okay, I'm vibing with this guy. Like, there's so much vibe here. Right? So what is going on with the vibing and the connection? And you have a weird feeling in your stomach when you meet some people. Have you noticed that? Especially if you're a woman. And if you're a man, you might not have noticed it. And some of you might have noticed too. But if not, start developing that thing. This is what we call as gut feeling. I don't have a good gut feeling about this situation. And you're like, oh, gut feeling. No, you're talking about gut feeling. Yeah, I am talking about gut feeling. Here's the thing. Here's why you should listen to this. Because Jeff Bezos, the guy who started and built Amazon, he said, every decision, including AWS is Amazon Web Service, which basically made him the most amount of money and built Amazon to the next level, that was a gut decision. One more time. That was a gut-based decision. He had all the data in the world to evaluate what to do, what not to do, and all the details. At the end of it, he had a gut feeling that I need to do this. Do you understand that? So the biggest $1 trillion company in the world, one of the biggest $1 trillion company in the world, the CEO of that company decided to do the biggest project that they did from a gut feeling. Do you see how powerful that is in terms of business? So how do you develop gut feeling? How do you understand this thing? So in order to explain that, let me explain a little bit about the head brain and how it works, and then I'll give you the specifics on what to do to improve your gut feeling, so that you could precisely find out when you're interviewing somebody, how do I connect with them? Should I hire this guy or that guy? Should I partner with this guy or not that guy? Should I have this person as my CTO or not? Or should I have this person as my investor or not? We'll get to that. So here is how the head brain works. We have an individual brain. Okay, this is the individual brain. And I have an individual brain, you have an individual brain. So we have two individual brains. Then there is something called social brain, which we both share. According to Daniel Siegel wrote the book Emotional Intelligence, Working with Emotional Intelligence and Social Intelligence. What we do is we communicate with each other. So imagine, like before internet, there was like this computer and there was this computer. There was no connection with each other. This computer with this computer, this was computer with this computer. But now this computer has internet and Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and this computer has Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, email, and you could send an email and you could connect with one. And you could send an instant messenger through Facebook and it goes here. The Instagram message, it goes here. It's connected with each other. Same way, my head brain and your head brain are connected, whether we talk to each other or not. Just by listening to me right now, just by watching me right now, our head brains are connected. Isn't that fascinating? And you're like, oh, that is some superstition. I don't think so. Okay, let me explain that. There is something called mirror neurons. Mirror neurons, which are mirroring the feeling that I'm feeling. But if I'm smiling, if I'm genuinely smiling and connecting with you, you probably will smile too. And you might have seen in movies or in sports. Why do we love sports? We love sports because when the player is playing and he's winning, you are feeling the winning in your body. Whatever he's doing physiologically, you're mirroring, representing inside of your body, inside of your brain, so that you're feeling like you are winning. You didn't do nothing, they won the thing, but you feel good. That's why if we went for a game and we felt like watch, like, whether that person wins or this person wins, it doesn't matter. It's all same for me. Then you're probably not going to enjoy the sports. If you are on one side of the sport and then you feel like when the game is played, cricket or baseball or golf or tennis or anything, or football, American football, soccer or anything, if you feel like your team is winning, you feel like you're winning. Why? Because of the mirror neuron. Same thing with movies. If you look at movies, what happens is the same thing, right? When the character is like really excited and he wins something, you connect with your mirror neurons with that person and you feel good. This is why after you watch a Jackie Chan movie, you might feel like you could jump from three-story buildings for 10 minutes because your mirror neurons are still active, feeling it, and that feeling will fade away. And why did I say all these things? To explain the same thing for the gut. So in your brain, in your gut brain, what happens is, today, this is not scientifically discovered. This is my hypothesis. My hypothesis is that we have something similar to mirror neurons in our gut that we haven't discovered yet. So in other words, we could use some neurons in our gut to connect with another person. So we are using our gut neurons. Let's call it gut neurons, and somebody could name it after they discover it. And I'm almost sure about it. And you experience it and try it. Don't believe just because I said that. Just experience it. And women can connect with other person's gut neurons. So if you are connecting with the gut neuron with another person and you don't feel good about it, that's how women identify, oh, I could connect with this guy. I can not. And some men do that too, using that. So learn to acknowledge that there is a gut brain, first of all. And just because I said that, oh my God, is it really true? Just go study this, study and observe this and understand, oh, really, this is so true. And then you study about it, dopamine and serotonin and all the things that I shared, and then learn to connect your gut brain with other people and feel it. Feel other people. This is what I mean by feel other people. I mean, traditionally, when people say that, like when dogs come to each other, they try to smell each other's butt, right? That's what they do. The same way, humans, I recommend that we smell each other's gut, right? Feel each other's gut. You don't need to necessarily smell. That will be weird. Oh, can I smell your gut now? Okay, not that. Like, you need to feel other person's gut. And when you feel other person's gut, whatever they have as a human package will be revealed to you. This is what you do in your interview. This is how you select partners. This is how you select life partners. This is how you select business partners, investors, team members, and so on and so forth. So that is a fascinating world of how to use your gut brain and to grow your business. Tell me, what do you think about this new science and new discoveries and how we are placing this in the business space? And I'm really curious to know your feedback. Let me know, and we'll go from there. Until then, grow and double your business this year by growing a profit and exponentially increasing your cash flow starting today. Talk to you next time.